natural. Sound familiar? Okay. And if you've seen Peter speak before, he does move around. He's a floor guy like me, so I'm looking forward to it. Peter's speech title is A Visit to Forget.
All right, Wade, thank you. Peter Wright.
Uh-oh.
No one here. Oh well. There's the couch. Oh my gosh, it's got pubic hairs on it. Oh well, they did warn me. 10, 11 years ago, I got rheumatoid arthritis. I didn't know it at the time. I got it really severely. And when I first got it, I was desperate for a solution. I was grabbing at straws trying to find out what was causing all this pain in my wrists. So one of my friends said, go to a, what's it called? The person that sticks needles in you.
Acupuncture.
Go to an acupuncturist. So, being a cheapskate that I am, I asked around and I found out that there were about 5 different acupuncturists, 4 that were recommended in the area, and one that had just started 3 weeks before from China. So I thought, well, and his rate was $55 an hour. Everybody else was in 100, 150. So I thought, well, let's do the $55 an hour one. And if that's no good, then I'll go to the next one on the list that's next up on the list, and the one after that. To my mind, it has made sense. But the person that told me about the Chinese fellow at $55 said he's only started 3 weeks ago, he's just arrived in the US, he cannot speak English. So there I am, I'm sitting on the bench. Yeah, I think I can sit on it. So I'm sitting on the bench waiting for this fellow because he hasn't come. And I sit there for about 20 minutes. And eventually he comes in. And we can't speak, so I'm saying, I've got pain here. And he says, yeah, okay. So he says, lie down on the couch. So, well, it doesn't say it, he gestures. Lie down on the couch. So I lie down on the couch. And he gets these rubber things. But you squeeze them, and it squeezes the air out of them, and they stick on you. And it's meant to pull the blood into the area, I believe. So you're pulling blood into the areas, so you've stuck them on my arms. So here I am, lying on this thing, with these things stuck on my arms, and the fellow disappears. And he says, 3 minutes. So, and I'm there for about 10 seconds, and one goes, pop! Okay. So I move the arm to try to see if I can see where, pop! Another one goes, pop! Another one goes, pop! So he's nowhere to be seen, so I shout. I said, hey, things have popped up. So he comes out, he looks a bit cross, but he comes out and he puts them back on. And there I am lying here again. And sure enough, about 10 seconds later, as he's walked out, pop! Pop again as I get up to try to get to the... So anyway. So he comes back into the room. And we go on to the next stage. And that, which obviously is putting the needles in. So he comes out and he brings this tray of needles. Now, I thought that needles were meant to be in wrapping. They're meant to be new, so you can tell that they're new. So I say, no, not old new needles, new needles, please. So the guy looks at me and he goes to a cupboard and he brings out another tray, goes to this cupboard, and he brings out another tray of needles piled up. And he says, new needles. He's learnt 2 words. He says, new needles, and brings them to me. And I said, no, new needles in wrapping. Yeah, I want them, open them up, pull them out, and then put them in me. So he walks away from me, and he's obviously really cross because he says something, he goes, me meow, blah, blah, blah. And he goes to this cupboard and he pulls out these needle things, brings them back, and they're in wrapping. And he puts one in my face and he goes, down, bang, into me. Next one, pulls it up, rips it open, bang, into me. So anyway, I'm covered with these needle things all over me. This is my first experience of acupuncturist. And I've obviously annoyed him quite a bit because now he gets this electrical machine. And he connects it, he has, I think there was one needle on this finger, and no, it was over, I think the needles were over here. He connected them somewhere up here, in my palm or somewhere. And there's a gradiated scale on this electric device. And instead of being at 1 or half or whatever, he turns it right up to 10. And what happens is, every sort of 3 seconds, my fingers are going, whip, whip. But it's painful. And I've already got a lot of pain in my hand anyway. So here I am going like this. And he's just sort of slightly smiling at me. And then takes it off that, does it on the other hand. And so I'm going like this again. So, anyway, the session eventually gets over, and I walk out of there. And I decide that going to the cheapest is not the best. Eventually I ended up with somebody else, and it was a far more pleasant experience, and I found out that when you actually put these needles on, I could speak to them. It's, oh no, you should never do this at all. You should just be, it should be just a gentle tinge of, that you can feel as you go through this. So this guy was really getting his own back on me. So I have a warning to you. When you're choosing an acupuncturist, do not go by price. If you happen to go by price, like I did, and you walk into the room and you find that there's pubic hairs on the couch, that's a very big warning. And if the fellow, thirdly, if the fellow has needles that are piled up in a container, then just run out of that office. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. If you could, please write comments and critiques on your slips of paper for Peter, pass them his way. And